Outside, there are celebrations galore, but this game did start with the Reti opening and an early surprise by Gukesh. This version, with a pawn to b4, a flank attack, caused Ding to burn a lot of time on the clock as early as move 4.
It certainly did, but Ding did react in his uncompromising style, and he went for the most principled move, which is developing the knight. And it was here the second surprise was launched by Gukesh, a3. It was a really unusual idea and caused Ding to burn more time on the clock.
Yeah, brand new idea at top level chess, just keeping the tension. Ding here wasn't sure what to do. Ultimately, after another long think, reacted in great fashion. He brought his bishop out, and after a trade of pawns, he also captured this knight and was able to, after a challenge on the queen side, establish a beautiful hole, an outpost for his knight on the c5 square. At this point, Ding was down an hour on the clock, but that soon changed.
It completely changed because upon realizing that this position was actually a lot more complicated than first appears to the eye, Gukesh settled into a 1 hour think. And there's a lot of danger beneath the surface, because after the most natural move that Gukesh played, g3, he had to calculate what happens after the very quick response from Ding, knight c5. And this is the whole point behind this whole 1 hour think, that you go bishop to g2 and then knight to b3 is possible, but it's a little bit dubious, it's risky on account of queen takes b7.
Queen takes b7. Black could give a check here, which doesn't quite work out, or black can capture. And ultimately, this position is favorable for white, who might even just sacrifice the exchange in the corner. And white has some very strong queenside pawns long term. Instead, not for the first time, Ding tried to avoid any direct action. He dropped his knight back. But this pushed Gukesh to the limit. He castled, and the queen stepping forward to attack this pawn. And this is where, again, both sides making maybe small slips that impacted the future of the game.
Yeah, so it's a difficult position actually for both players, but for Gukesh the issue is how to untangle the pieces. d3 is actually threatened, and the best move is probably just to sacrifice the pawn on d3 and go knight to d2. But Gukesh responded in a very human way, rook to d1, and Ding's best response is actually to go e6 and again just ask questions to the queen at a later stage. Instead he chose the most natural g6. And here, Gukesh impressed us all when he wanted to find a square for his dark square bishop and played a4.
Yeah, the key move, actually maybe the star move of the game, again after a bit of think, but essentially the white bishop is doing nothing, it's still sitting at home, and you need to eliminate the opponent's best piece, which holds everything together, this knight. And after the move h5, Gukesh also surprised Ding by pushing his pawn forward, destabilizing the black queen.
And this move ultimately completely discombobulated Ding. He should have reacted in the most aggressive way, dropping the queen back to b8. But he wanted to just take control of the position and not embrace the complications. And here he stepped up with the queen to d6, perhaps a passive choice.
Yeah, passive choice, because this did allow Gukesh to eliminate the troublemaker here on c5. A hit on the white queen was met by a counterattack, hitting the black queen. The black queen had to recapture, and now the key is that the white queen gets this beautiful diagonal, and it's actually all about the weakness of this black pawn on b7.
Yeah, and that is actually something that is very, very difficult to deal with. So we did see Ding drop the knight back to block the diagonal, but after knight to a3, the knight is headed to beautiful squares, you know, knight to b5, and after rook d7, knight c2 is a very classy move, getting ready to go rook ab1, and then just take control of the b line.
That's indeed what happened. Here, at the very last moment, before that pawn was defended, Ding captured it. Ding actually a pawn up going into the final stages of this game, but it's all about piece activity. Look at the light square domination. This rook on a fantastic outpost. All of white's pieces directly and indirectly ganged up towards this black pawn. And now a cunning maneuver by Gukesh really discombobulated Ding.
Yeah, completely. Knight a1. And, you know, it's a really unusual move. The knight is headed over to c5. And this is where Ding just used up too much time on the clock, perhaps panicked a little bit, especially as he didn't have too much time to get to move 40. So he reacted with moving the rook over to b8, which is absolutely fine. It's just after knight to b3, when the knight is threatening to jump into c5, that he has to be very precise and just overprotect the knight on c6.
Yeah, in hindsight, he perhaps should have lifted his rook up to d6, defending this knight, avoiding a tactic that soon appears in the game, but also threatening to harass the white queen, kick her away from the center. He played too slowly, both on the board and clock. Too tentatively here, e6, met by an attack from the white knight. White brought the final piece into the game. Everything, literally everything, ganged up now against b7, and
it's here where Ding just blinked and cracked. He dropped the queen back to c8. Look how the rook, queen, and king are lined up on the same row, and here comes the killer blow. And it's a beautiful one. It's very unexpected.
Yeah, queen sacrifice, a temporary sacrifice by Gukesh, and here Ding resigned. He realized that if he takes the queen with the queen, White's bishop, finally the most important piece pounces. There's a pin on the b file, White is a piece up. But likewise, if you take the queen with the pawn, then rook takes rook. The black queen is skewered against its king, and again, White emerges with an extra knight. A heartbreaking end, but ultimately a really dramatic game.
Yeah, it was a game full of twists, turns, opening surprises, emotions. It had it all. And, well, tonight there is going to be a lot of celebration for the Gukesh fans. But for tomorrow, we will see. Ding will have the white pieces, so will he be able to strike back and make that comeback? Will he manage to defeat Gukesh? Those are the big questions.